Hey you guys, this is the Kaizen Man welcoming you to the Kaizen Project, where I share with you tips, tools, and tricks to help make your life better. In today's video, I'm going to be addressing a question that a lot of you have reached out and asked me. And the question is, how do you get creative? The simplest answer to that question is something that Robert Rodriguez, a celebrated director, talks about. People ask him how he does all the things that he does. He's a painter, he's a musician, he's a director, and he says, I live a creative life. And what that means is that in whatever you do, you're looking to be as creative as you can. The first tip on being more creative: how you do one thing is how you do everything. And this goes back to Robert Rodriguez's example in living a creative life. Look for ways in which you can be more creative in your life right now. What are the things that you're doing that you can perhaps be more creative in? If you work in an office, if you have to make presentations, maybe you can make your presentations more engaging by adding graphics or adding videos. One of the things you can do to be more creative is to tap into your intuition, tap into your impulses when you're cooking. Rather than just following a recipe, see if you can perhaps change things around and get a bit more creative and see what happens. A big part of being creative is willing to fail. It's being open to making mistakes, because that's when you grow. When you make mistakes, you learn from that, and then you know for the next time what to do, and also, more importantly, what not to do. Because remember, creativity is like a muscle. You have to develop it before you can flex it. Write that down. Write that down. And this brings me to my next point. One of the best ways to get more creative is to keep an idea journal. If you already have a journaling practice, then I suggest getting a separate journal just for your ideas, in which you can write down inspirations, your thoughts, notes. Which brings me to my third point. Creativity is as much about listening as it is about doing. The best source of creativity is within us, and for that creativity to flow, you have to learn to listen to your intuition. You have to listen to those impulses, those faint murmurs. And we tend to ignore these voices because we live in a world that celebrates logic and analysis and analytical thinking. And not that there's anything wrong with that type of thinking. It's very important to have systems to follow through with your creativity. But if you want to first have those ideas, you have to learn to trust your inner voice and listen to it. Because when you start to listen to that inner voice, your creativity begins to flow through you. And this is something that a lot of actors, a lot of writers and artists believe. But, this is a big but, no pun intended. This is something that a lot of people will choose to use as an excuse. Oh, I'm not creative, or I'm not inspired, so I really don't have anything to work on. No. You have to keep working on your skills. And I'll give you an example. J.K. Rowling, one of the most successful authors of all time. People love to tell the story about her, how she was broke, she was traveling on a train, and she saw the world of Harry Potter materialize before her in the countryside. And then she wrote her first few chapters on a piece of paper, just on a napkin. Great story, and I love to hear that kind of story as well. But what people don't know, or what people choose to ignore in that story, is that years before Harry Potter materialized before her, she was working on her writing skills. She was constantly writing short stories, honing her creative craft before she got that divine inspiration to go through her. Which brings me to my fourth and final point. Begin now. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you don't have all the equipment that you need. Start with what you have. Start with what you know. Everything else will take care of itself. Get a coloring book, learn to play an instrument, make videos on your phone, whatever it is you can do to start being creative right now. To recap the video, the first thing that we talked about is how you do one thing is how you do everything. So start being creative in all aspects of your life. The second tip is to listen. What that means is you're listening to your inner voice, but also being open to all the creative inputs that are around you and using that stimulus to help you be more creative in your life. The third point is to get an idea journal. The last and the fourth point is to start now. If you haven't already, then subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below with your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, it's the Kaizen Man, signing out.